Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished watching Argylle, which was directed by Matthew Vaughn and stars Bryce Dallas Howard, Henry Cavill, Samuel L. Jackson, Sam Rockwell, Dua Lipa, Ariana DeBose, Bryan Cranston, and Catherine O'Hara. Now, the spy genre certainly has created its fair amount of well-known characters from James Bond to Jason Bourne, but in Matthew Vaughn's hands, we've also gotten the Secret Service types of agents of the Kingsman series. In Argylle, it basically has him create his a completely new spy character who seems like it has potential. But between a very convoluted story and a runtime that's way too long for what it needs to be, what should have been a super spy, it ends up as a super tryhard. But let's get to the story, shall we? The story involves Ellie Conway, played by Bryce Dallas Howard. She's a successful author for the Argylle spy series, which is basically her well researched book series about a super spy named Argylle, played by Henry Cavill, who goes around the world seducing women, solving various crimes, and saving the world from terrorist threats. So, while Ellie Conway is a best-selling author for that, it seems that a lot of her storylines tend to coincide with events that occur in the real world. So much so that the Division, the group of villains that are actually a real entity in this world, are attempting to get Ellie Conway to use her knowledge to basically evade capture and to accomplish their objectives. So a real spy named Aiden, played by Sam Rockwell, has to extract her from a train, and he has to also help her remember certain things about her plot elements of her books in order to basically get a list on a thumb drive that's inside of a silver bullet that'll ultimately save the world from the bad guys taking over. And all the while, Ellie Conway not only imagines Argylle in Sam Rockwell's place, but she also learns some things about her past that she thought were long buried. But that's all I'll say about the story. The story here does seem to have an interesting premise when it starts out, but there are very long bits of exposition and flashback scenes that feel like they not only happen once too many, but they make the story not difficult to follow at times, and it also just makes a lot of the believability of the story fly right out of the window at certain points. You'll About at the halfway point, I was wondering how many twists and double turns would have to happen in order for the story to even remotely make sense, and it makes it almost incomprehensible when you try to think of all these different twists happening in the same film in roughly a few days. It is unfortunate because Matthew Vaughn's directing style does allow for some great action scenes, some that have great dance moves included. There's some great firefights with colorful explosions of smoke. There's even a few homages to the Kingsman series in some of those scenes, but it feels like a lot of them are hamstrung by a story that doesn't know what to do with itself sometimes. It doesn't know if it wants to satirize the spy genre, if it does, or to just play a lot of these tropes straight. And they try to liven things up with the cat Alfie, but even that feels kind of like a gimmick, similar to the cats from the Marvels in a sense. And while the cast is generally likable with tons of great stars showing up doing what they can with their roles, it feels like some of them are either underutilized, like Ariana DeBose and John Cena, or some of them really end up playing against type in a way that doesn't really add up. Like Sofia Boutella has a role that really she's only there for about 5 minutes, and I don't buy her for a second in that role when it comes down to what you'll probably see of it. Matthew Vaughn is definitely known for the vibes of his films, for ones like Kick-Ass, the Kingsman movies, and X-Men First Class, but this was an occasion where it felt like it was style over substance, where if you get past the convoluted story, it ultimately ends up with a plot that is a lot that flaunts what it lacks and lacks what it flaunts. So that's why I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. When you add on a runtime that's over 2 hours, It feels like this is a film that could have been trimmed down and rewritten, and it would have worked far better. See you next time.